Keanu Reeves arrives at JFK Airport for a private charity event. The night is calm, until a sudden swarm of NYPD officers surrounds him with sirens blaring. The night air around JFK Airport felt unusually peaceful as Keanu Reeves stepped out of Terminal 4. After a long flight, he breathed in the crisp New York wind, pulling his black coat tighter around him. It was supposed to be a quiet arrival. No press, no paparazzi, just a short drive to a secret charity event supporting struggling youth shelters. Keanu had deliberately kept the visit private. He didn't want attention, only impact. The airport lights shimmered across the wet pavement as he walked toward the pickup area. A small group of airport workers noticed him and waved excitedly. Keanu smiled, humble and gentle as always, signing a quick autograph for a young baggage handler who could barely speak from excitement. But beneath that peaceful moment, something felt off. Keanu sensed it first as a faint vibration under the ground, like distant thunder. Then the sound grew louder, tires screeching, engines roaring. The glow of red and blue lights suddenly reflected off every glass surface around him. Keanu turned sharply. A fleet of NYPD vehicles, SUVs, squad cars, even an armored van, burst into the arrivals lane in a coordinated formation. Sirens screamed through the terminal corridor, causing travelers to freeze mid-step. Airport security officers yelled for civilians to move aside. Keanu blinked, confused. Before he could react, an amplified voice boomed from a police speaker. "Keanu Reeves, do not move! Hands where we can see them!" The words were surreal, echoing across the open space like a scene from one of his movies. Except this wasn't a movie, and he hadn't done anything. Dozens of NYPD officers swarmed around him, weapons drawn but angled downward. Their movements were sharp, precise, as if this operation had been planned for weeks. Passengers screamed and backed away. Phones went up. People recorded every second. Keanu lifted his hand slowly, his heartbeat steady but loud in his ears. "There must be a mistake," he said, voice calm yet strained. "I'm here for a charity event. What's going on?" The lead officer, a stern-faced man with a tactical vest labeled O'Hara, approached with handcuffs ready. His expression was unreadable. "Keanu Reeves," he said firmly, "you are being detained for questioning regarding an active investigation. Cooperate, and no one gets hurt." Keanu tried again, "At least tell me what this is about." But the officer didn't answer. Instead, he gestured to the others. Within seconds, Keanu found his wrists pulled behind him, cold metal locking tight. Flashlights blinded him. Camera shutters clicked wildly. The peaceful night had shattered. As officers guided him toward the armored van, Keanu caught a glimpse of a digital billboard outside the terminal. It displayed a breaking news alert in bright red letters: "Major cyber attack threat, suspect identified." Keanu Reeves is handcuffed in front of shocked passengers. Officers claim he is tied to a dangerous cyber terror group. Keanu insists they've arrested the wrong man. The armored NYPD van roared away from the curb, its heavy doors slamming shut behind Keanu with a metallic echo that felt final. Inside, dim lights flickered above him as the van sped through the airport's underground access road. Keanu sat strapped to the metal bench, hands cuffed, wrists aching from the tight steel. Two tactical officers sat across from him, silent, their helmets reflecting the faint glow. Keanu leaned forward as much as the restraints allowed. "Listen," he said calmly. "You have to tell me what's going on. What crime could I possibly be connected to?" The officer on the left didn't even blink. The other one, a younger cop with nervous energy, avoided eye contact as if he knew something was wrong but couldn't say it. The radio crackled overhead. "Unit Bravo 7, stand by. Transfer location confirmed. Suspect is priority." Suspect. Keanu felt the word burn through him like an accusation he couldn't escape. The van made a sharp turn, sending a vibration through the metal floor. Outside, he could hear more sirens joining the convoy. It wasn't just an arrest. It was a full-scale operation. The younger officer finally spoke, his voice low but tense. "They think you're involved with the group responsible for last night's cyber attack on the federal data grid. Keanu stared at him, stunned. That's impossible. I don't even use half the apps on my phone. Why would I have anything to do with cyber terrorism? The officer swallowed hard. They found messages, encrypted ones, coordinates, threats. They were sent from an account attached to your identity. Keanu's jaw tightened. Attached or cloned? Before the officer could answer, the van screeched to a halt. The back doors swung open, and the same lead officer from the airport, O'Hara, appeared, face sharp and unreadable. Bring him out. Keanu was pulled onto the pavement of a secure NYPD facility. Massive floodlights illuminated every corner of the courtyard. Walls reinforced with steel. Surveillance cameras pointed everywhere. It looked less like a police station and more like a fortress prepared for war. As they escorted him through a heavy door, Keanu noticed officers whispering, pointing, staring. Some looked suspicious, others confused, as if they couldn't believe the man they were seeing in handcuffs was the Keanu Reeves. Inside, O'Hara finally addressed him directly. You're being detained under suspicion of aiding the organization known as Black Meridian. Keanu's eyes narrowed. I don't know the group, and I don't know anything about a cyber attack. O'Hara slammed a folder onto the table. Photos spilled out screenshots, codes, timestamps, and there, circled in red, was his name, his face, his digital signature. This, O'Hara growled, came from an encrypted network node traced back to your device. Every screen in Times Square flashes the headline, Keanu Reeves arrested by NYPD. Fans rushed to the precinct demanding answers. Rumors spread like wildfire. The moment Keanu Reeves was taken into the NYPD's fortified facility, New York City felt the shockwave. It started with one blurry, shaky phone video recorded at JFK Airport, a crowd screaming, flashing lights, and Keanu being pushed into the armored van. Within minutes, the footage hit social media. Within seconds, it went viral. News stations cut into their regular programming. Breaking news! Actor Keanu Reeves arrested at JFK Airport. Unconfirmed reports link him to last night's cyber attack. Is the beloved star involved in a federal-level crime? The headlines were everywhere. Times Square, the electric heart of the city, erupted in a storm of neon chaos. Giant billboards replayed the arrest footage on loop, magnified to 30-foot screens. Tourists gasped. Locals stopped walking. Taxi drivers leaned out of windows to stare. One screen showed Keanu with his hands raised at the airport. Another zoomed in on the moment the cuffs clicked around his wrists. A third displayed a dramatic headline. Keanu Reeves, a public hero or secret threat? Crowds gathered below the screens, murmurs turning into heated debates. He would never do something like that, someone yelled. My kids watch his movies. He's a good man, shouted another. But not everyone was convinced. Evidence must be real if the NYPD went this big, a man argued. They don't arrest celebrities without proof. By noon, the sidewalks were packed. By 1 p.m., barricades had to be placed. By 2 p.m., the crowd had transformed into something bigger, a movement. Hundreds of Keanu's fans, many holding posters, rushed toward the 12th precinct, the rumored location where he was being held. Some wore shirts with his movie characters. Others simply held up signs reading, Free Keanu! He's innocent. Tell us the truth! The precinct was overwhelmed. Police officers tried to keep order, but emotions ran high. Some fans chanted Keanu's name in unison, creating a roaring echo through the concrete streets. Across the city, talk shows were buzzing. He's known for his kindness, one host argued. But cyber terrorism is serious, another responded. Unless he's being set up? Rumors spiraled into wild theories. That he was framed by a government rival. That someone hacked his digital identity. That it was all part of a secret movie project. That an international group wanted him silenced. As opinions clashed, one thing became clear. People were scared. The cyber attack had already shaken the nation, and now a beloved actor's name was tangled in the chaos. Meanwhile, inside the NYPD facility, Keanu had no idea how massive the explosion outside had become. He didn't know his face was on every screen. He didn't know his fans were gathering like an army of truth seekers. Detectives interrogate Keanu Reeves for hours. They show encrypted messages supposedly sent from his phone. Keanu denies everything, realizing something deeper is happening. Inside the NYPD's high-security interrogation wing, the walls were cold steel and glass. The room Keanu Reeves was led into was small, harshly lit, and intentionally uncomfortable. A metal table sat in the center, bolted to the floor, with 2 chairs across from each other. Cameras stared from every corner like silent guards. Keanu sat down without being asked. His hands, still cuffed, rested on the table. He looked tired but calm, his posture upright, his eyes steady. Years of difficult roles and darker days had taught him how to carry himself with quiet strength. The door hissed open. Detective O'Hara entered first, his expression carved from granite. Behind him came Detective Vera Hale, sharp eyes, sharp voice, sharp instincts. She placed a thick file on the table with a heavy thud. "Mr. Reeves," she said, "this is your last chance to cooperate." Keanu raised an eyebrow. "I've been cooperating since the moment you arrested me. What I need is an explanation." O'Hara opened the file. Photographs slid out like accusations. Screenshots of encrypted chat logs, maps marked with coordinates, lists of federal servers targeted in the cyber attack. Vera leaned forward. "These were sent from your device, your identity. The attack last night shut down half the East Coast's emergency networks. People nearly died." Keanu studied the images calmly. "These messages weren't sent by me." O'Hara's jaw tightened. "Then who did?" "I don't know," Keanu replied, "but someone wants it to look like I did. Whoever set this up knows what they're doing." Vera tapped a page showing a timestamp. "This message was sent at 2:14 a.m. You were in Los Angeles." Keanu nodded. "Yes, filming. You can check with my team." "We already did." Vera turned another page. "Your passport was scanned at JFK just minutes before the breach. Same time as another suspicious login." Keanu blinked. "That's impossible. I didn't check in until hours later." O'Hara slid over a tablet. It displayed a blurred image. Someone entering a restricted federal access building. The face was familiar. Too familiar. It looked exactly like Keanu. Keanu stared at it, the weight settling in his chest. "That's not me." "Deepfake?" Vera asked sharply. "Digital clone?" O'Hara demanded. "Or," Vera added, "you're lying-y." Keanu leaned back, exhaling slowly. "You're looking at a setup. Someone wants me tied to this attack. Someone who has access to my identity, my image, my data, my movement patterns." O'Hara slammed his fist on the table. "Give us a name if I had one, you'd have it," Keanu answered. Vera studied him closely. She wasn't fully convinced, but something about the way he spoke, the steady tone, the unwavering eyes, made her hesitate. The room fell silent. Outside the glass, unseen by Keanu, 2 analysts watched the interrogation. Keanu discovers that someone is impersonating him. CCTV footage shows a masked figure who looks shockingly similar to Keanu, committing crimes across New York. The interrogation room emptied, leaving Keanu alone with his thoughts. But his solitude didn't last long. Moments later, Detective Vera Hale returned. This time quieter, her expression complicated. She carried a slim black tablet in her hand, the screen dimmed but still glowing faintly. "We found something," she said, "and you need to see it." Keanu watched her cautiously as she placed the tablet on the table and tapped the screen. The room fell completely silent except for the soft hum of the overhead lights. A grainy CCTV video began. The footage showed a man walking confidently down a narrow service corridor in a restricted federal building. His head was covered with a hood at first, but then, slowly, almost theatrically, he turned toward a surveillance camera. The hood dropped. Keanu's breath caught. It was his face, his jawline, his walk, his exact expression. But it wasn't him. The figure looked straight into the camera with a coldness Keanu had never seen in his own eyes. There was something off, something too calculated, too deliberate. Vera said quietly. This was recorded 1 hour before the cyber attack. Keanu leaned in. Pause it. She froze the frame at the moment the figure lifted his head. Keanu studied every detail. There was an uncanny precision. The hair, the cheekbones, even the faint scar near the eye from an old stunt injury. It looks like you, Vera said softly, almost perfectly. Almost, Keanu murmured. Look closely. The eyes, they're wrong. There's no reflection, no natural depth. Vera frowned, replaying the footage in slow motion. Could be a mask, high-tech, silicone, maybe even a 3D printed prosthetic. Keanu nodded. Someone built a version of me. The realization hit like a punch. A doppelganger. Not a simple impersonation, a calculated, engineered fake. The video shifted to another angle. The imposter calmly bypassed keycard scanners and security doors as if he knew exactly where to go. He planted a small black device on a server rack, the very device that had triggered the cyber attack. Vera's jaw tightened. This is why the Bureau thinks you're involved. This figure used your face to enter a top-security federal zone. They think you're working with Black Meridian. Keanu shook his head. This isn't an accident, it's a message. To whom? Vera asked. To me, Keanu said. Someone wants me scared. Someone wants my life to collapse. O'Hara entered the room then, holding a manila envelope. There's more. He dumped several printed images onto the table. Screenshots from traffic cams, store security systems, drone feeds. Every photo showed the same figure with Keanu's face moving through different parts of New York, planting devices, meeting shadowy individuals, disappearing into alleys. During a prisoner transport, a Black Ops group ambushes the NYPD van. Gunfire erupts. The police think the attackers are Keanu's allies, but Keanu knows they want him dead. The morning air outside the NYPD facility was thick with fog, the kind that clung to the ground like a silent warning. Keanu Reeves, still handcuffed, was escorted toward a heavily armored transport van. O'Hara walked behind him, tense, suspicious, determined. Vera Hale stayed close, silently conflicted, watching Keanu's every move as if trying to read his soul. This transfer is for your safety, O'Hara said sharply. Keanu shot him a calm but pointed look. Or yours? O'Hara didn't answer. Two officers opened the van doors, their breath steaming in the cold air. Keanu stepped inside and sat on the metal bench once again, chains clinking faintly. As the doors slammed shut, Vera locked eyes with him through the narrow window. He could see it, doubt, fear, not of him, but for him. The engine growled to life. The van pulled out of the secure gate, accompanied by two escort vehicles front and back. Standard protocol for a high-risk suspect. Keanu kept his breathing steady, listening to the rhythm of the tires, the hum of the metal, the faint crackle of the police radio. 5 minutes into the drive, something felt wrong. Too quiet, too empty. New York streets were never this still. Then he heard it, a sharp whistle of something slicing the air, followed by an explosion. The front escort car burst into flames, flipping into the intersection like a fiery wheel. The shockwave slammed into the van, throwing Keanu against the wall. The driver screamed, tires screeched, metal groaned. Ambush! Ambush! The officer beside him yelled into the radio. Before Keanu could steady himself, a rain of bullets hammered into the side of the van. The armored plating absorbed the impact, but the sound was deafening. Sparks danced across the floor. Outside, shadows moved with military precision. Dark tactical outfits, suppressed weapons, combat masks. These weren't gang members. They weren't mercenaries. They were professionals. Black Ops level. Keanu's mind raced. If they wanted him rescued, they wouldn't be shooting at the van like they wanted it destroyed. A second explosion hit the back escort car, flipping it sideways. The officers inside screamed as they crashed onto the pavement. The van swerved violently. Officers inside tried to return fire, but the attackers were too fast, too coordinated. The doors suddenly buckled inward as someone attached a magnetic charge. Down! The officer shouted. Keanu dove as far as his restraints allowed. Boom! Smoke filled the interior. The doors flew open. Figures in black stormed inside, but not to free him. They aimed straight at Keanu. Through the smoke, he saw the glint of a weapon pointed at his head. They were here to kill him. "Move!" an NYPD officer yelled, tackling Keanu out of the line of fire. Keanu Reeves escapes in the chaos and hides in an underground safe house. A hacker friend reveals the truth. The imposter plans to use Keanu's identity to shut down New York's power grid. Smoke poured out of the broken NYPD van as sirens wailed from every direction. Officers and attackers clashed in a chaotic blur of gunfire and shouting. In the confusion, Keanu Reeves saw his only chance. A second explosion rocked the street, knocking everyone back. Metal fragments scattered. The blast sent a wave of dust and debris rolling across the asphalt like a tidal wave. Keanu's instincts, honed from years of stunt work and real-life adversity, kicked in. He rolled beneath the shattered door, his cuffs scraping the concrete, and crawled toward cover behind a burning vehicle. Shots cracked overhead. Someone yelled, "He's on the move, get him!" But they weren't the police. And they weren't rescuers. They were hunters. Keanu sprinted through a side alley, chains still locked around his wrists, smoke trailing behind him. He ducked into a narrow service corridor, his breath sharp, lungs burning. Footsteps thundered behind him, but the thick fog of the explosion gave him precious seconds. He needed help, real help. He reached a maintenance door, kicked it repeatedly until the old metal latch snapped. Inside was a utility hallway beneath the street. Dark, quiet, empty. He ran, for what felt like miles. Finally, he reached a hidden exit grate and pushed his way into a forgotten parking garage near the East River. A familiar voice echoed through the shadows. "Took you long enough?" Keanu spun around. A slim figure stepped out of the darkness, hood up, glasses reflecting faint blue light. It was Nova, an underground hacker and cybersecurity analyst Keanu had helped years ago during a charity project for disadvantaged youth. Brilliant, resourceful, and always 2 steps ahead. Nova pulled a small device from her pocket and aimed it at Keanu's cuffs. A sharp electric buzz, and the restraints popped open. "You're welcome," she said dryly. Keanu rubbed his wrists. "How did you find me?" "I hacked into the NYPD comms," she replied, typing rapidly on a handheld device. "Someone wants you dead, and not just dead, erased." She projected a holographic display against the wall. It showed the masked imposter, Keanu's double, walking confidently through a highly secure power grid control facility. Keanu stiffened. "Where is that?" "New York Energy Hub," Nova said. "Deep access. Most people don't know it exists." The imposter placed a device into the main server port. The lights flickered. Nova zoomed in. "This is the prototype for a grid kill switch. If he activates it, the entire city goes dark. Hospitals, airports, subways, everything. Chaos." Keanu looked at the figure wearing his face. "Why me?" Nova's fingers flew across the screen. "Because the attack will be blamed on your identity, on your digital footprints." Keanu Reeves sat quietly in the back of the armored NYPD vehicle as it cut through the Manhattan night, escorted by 2 patrol cars and a black unmarked SUV. The weight of everything pressed down on him. The false accusations, the dangerous chaos inside the station, and now this strange, tense silence among the officers transporting him. The streets outside glowed with neon and headlights. But inside the van, the air felt thick, like something was about to rupture. Detective Marlowe, sitting across from Keanu, watched him with an expression that mixed frustration, suspicion, and something softer, maybe doubt. For the first time since the ordeal began, she spoke without her usual command. "Reeves, why would someone go through all this trouble to frame you?" Keanu looked up. His voice was steady, calm, touched with exhaustion. "You've seen the footage. You know that wasn't me. Whoever is doing this, they're powerful. They want chaos, and I think they're using your police force to do it." Her jaw tightened. She didn't want to believe him, yet everything about the case was wrong, too clean, too convenient. "We'll sort this out at headquarters," she said, though the conviction in her voice wavered. But headquarters was not where they were going. The van suddenly jerked to the left, speeding away from the normal route to One Police Plaza. Marlowe frowned. "That's not the direction." She slapped the comm panel. "Driver, what are you doing? Redirect to HQ." Silence. Keanu leaned forward slightly. "I told you, someone's controlling this." Before Marlowe could respond, a loud bang echoed across the roof, a metallic thud, then another. Gunshots? No. Something heavier, something mechanical. The driver's panicked voice finally crackled through the speaker. "We're under attack! Some kind of drone!" His voice cut out in an explosion of sparks as the windshield shattered. The armored van swerved violently. Marlowe grabbed onto the safety rail as the vehicle spun, skidding across the slick street before slamming against a concrete divider. Red emergency lights flickered inside the van, painting Keanu and the detective in flashes of crimson. Marlowe pushed the door open, weapon drawn. "Stay behind me," she ordered. Keanu followed her out as smoke rose from the hood of the van. Above them, a black modified drone hovered with a sharp mechanical hum. It wasn't a civilian device. This was military grade. Too advanced, too precise. A voice boomed from a nearby rooftop through a distorted modulator. "Hand over Reeves, now!" More drones appeared, circling like vultures. Marlowe's eyes widened as realization hit her. "You were right. This is bigger than us." Keanu stepped beside her, calm despite the danger. "So what's the plan, detective?" She tightened her grip on her weapon. "We fight back." And in that moment, surrounded, hunted, framed, Keanu Reeves and Detective Marlowe stood together, ready to face whatever shadowy force had orchestrated the nightmare. The street erupted into chaos as the drones tightened their circle. Their red targeting lasers danced across the cracked pavement, locking onto Keanu and Detective Marlowe. Sirens wailed in the distance. Someone must have reported the crash, but backup wouldn't arrive quickly enough. Whoever was behind this operation clearly had the timing planned down to the second. Marlowe crouched beside an overturned trash bin, firing upward. Her bullets sparked uselessly off the drone's reinforced shells. "They're armored! NYPD doesn't even have tech this advanced!" she shouted over the mechanical buzz. Keanu scanned the scene with a strange calmness. Survival instincts honed from a lifetime of training, martial arts, and stunt work. "They're using signal relays," he said, pointing to the small antennas fixed to the drones. "If we knock out the control units, they'll crash." Marlowe gave him a look, half disbelief, half admiration. "You do realize you're supposed to be the hostage here, right?" Keanu didn't answer. Instead, he lunged toward the ruined van, grabbing a detached metal panel from the wreckage. The moment he stepped into the open, 3 drones fired stun rounds at him, crackling electric charges streaking through the air. He rolled across the pavement, the panel raised like a shield, deflecting the blasts with a clang. Marlowe covered him, laying down suppressive fire. "Go, I've got you!" Keanu dashed toward a street lamp, using the metal panel to block more fire. With a sharp exhale, he hurled it like a discus. It spun through the air, smashing into the nearest drone and knocking it out of the sky in a shower of sparks. "That's one!" Marlowe yelled. The rooftop voice crackled again through the distorted speaker. "Reeves, stop resisting! Surrender now or we escalate!" Keanu shouted back, "Who are you?" Silence. Then a cold, mechanical reply. "Someone who needs you gone." Marlowe's eyes widened. "They're not trying to arrest you. They're trying to erase you." Another drone swooped low, firing a tethered shock net. Keanu dodged, but the net clipped his shoulder, sending a jolt down his arm. He stumbled back, teeth clenched. Marlowe ran to him, pulling him behind a crashed taxi. "Stay with me, we're getting out of this." Keanu gestured toward a maintenance alley behind them. "If we get indoors, the drone signals will weaken inside the concrete walls." Together, they sprinted toward the alley as drone fire peppered the ground behind them. Sparks flew, asphalt chipped. A stun blast exploded inches from Marlowe's boot. They dove behind a metal door. Marlowe slammed her shoulder against it. Locked. Keanu stepped in front of her. "Move!" With a single controlled kick, precise, powerful, the lock snapped. The door flew inward and they slipped into the dark maintenance corridor just as a drone smashed into the doorway behind them. Inside, the hum of the drones faded slightly. Echoes filled the narrow hall. Marlowe breathed hard. The maintenance corridor was dim and narrow, lit only by flickering bulbs that buzzed like angry insects. Keanu and Detective Marlowe moved cautiously, every echo magnified into something sinister. Behind them, the muffled thumps of drones trying to force their way inside grew weaker, but not gone. Whoever was behind this wouldn't quit easily. Marlowe checked her weapon. Only 2 rounds left. Whoever set this up knew everything. Your schedule, your arrival time, even NYPD's routing system. This isn't just some criminal gang. Keanu nodded. They planted fake evidence, hijacked police systems, and deployed military drones. This is organized. Someone with money, reach, and motive. They reached a steel staircase spiraling upward. Marlowe led the way carefully. Dispatch said earlier that the anonymous tip about you came from an encrypted international node. Impossible to trace. Unless, Keanu said quietly, they wanted you to trace it and hit a dead end. A trap inside a trap. At the top of the stairs, they pushed into a grimy storage room. Old electrical panels, dusty crates, and a narrow window overlooking the street. Keanu peered out carefully. Emergency lights flashed below. Police cruisers formed a perimeter, but none were making any move to enter the building. Marlowe joined him, frustration tightening her jaw. They're being told to wait. Someone high up is freezing them out. Keanu turned to her. So the enemy isn't just outside, it's inside the system. Before she could respond, the room trembled with a metallic clang. A small cylinder rolled under the door, emitting a rising electronic whine. Imp! Keanu grabbed Marlowe and pulled her behind a stack of crates. The device exploded in a burst of white-blue light. The room flickered, panels sparked, lights died. The drones were coming. In the pitch-dark silence, Keanu's voice was calm but urgent. We can't stay. They'll sweep the building room by room. Using the faint glow of emergency exit signs, they slipped into another hallway. Sounds echoed from below, metallic wings, clattering rotors. The hunt was closing in fast. Then Marlowe spotted something. A door marked roof access. This might be our only chance. They rushed up the final staircase and burst onto the rooftop. Cold wind whipped across the skyline. The lights of New York stretched endlessly below, a glittering grid unaware of the battle unfolding above it. But they weren't alone. A figure stood near the edge, a tall silhouette dressed in tactical black, face hidden behind a mask. He spoke with the same digitally distorted voice from the rooftop speakers. You should have surrendered, Reeves. Keanu stepped forward, unafraid. Why me? Why frame an actor? You're more than an actor, the man replied. You're a symbol, and symbols are powerful when destroyed publicly. Before he could pull the trigger of the compact launcher in his hand, Marlowe fired her last shot, hitting his shoulder. He staggered, dropping the launcher, but he didn't fall.